Alright, hello, my name is Bill Ferrario. I'm your ConMed Limb-Detect rep. We're going to be in-servicing our new 24K arthroscopy pump. We have two sets of tubing. We have our inflow, which is the blue tubing. It is 10K 100. And we have our outflow, which has red or pink colored tubing. It is a 24K 100. The pump is going to be on your arthroscopy cart. When the inflow tubing is opened up, the cartridge and the spiked end tubing, which goes to your bags, will be handed off. The blue tubing with the lure lock end will remain on the field for the tech. It has the lure lock and the clamp. The blue end stays on the field sterile. The clear tubing cartridge always gets handed off. For putting the cartridge onto your wheel, the blue tubing inflow goes to the blue wheel. I always recommend putting the rubber tubing on top, holding it at 10 and 2, pulling down below that little piece of plastic, and it just slides right into place. You know you have a good connection when your pressure, you see numbers over here. If you don't have a connection, if your cartridge isn't slid all the way back, it'll still say connect cartridges. Once it slides into place, you'll see the number appear. With this end, you'll be able to just spike the bags as you always did in the past. Slide the clamps down, make sure it's clamped, spike your bag, just like you always did before. Next, the outflow tubing or suction tubing will be passed off. On this side, it'll be the cartridge and the red or pink tubing gets handed off to the nurse. The clear tubing stays sterile. With the clear tubing, you have a lure lock end, which is outflow. Typically, I'm told within this facility that most surgeons do not use outflow. So whatever you did with your old outflow piece of tubing, you would do the same. The clear tubing with the blue end is your shaver suction. So with the cartridge, you could just drop the pink or red tubing to the ground. That's your waste. We could take care of that in a minute. This, we put on the set of tubing same as we did before. I recommend holding a 10 and 2, pull it down below that piece of plastic, and it slides into place. Once it slides into place, the way we know this is hooked up properly, these lights turn blue over here. This light is for your outflow, and this is your shaver suction. You can adjust these. Right now my shaver's off, low, medium, high. So you just do that by pressing those buttons. If we didn't have this hooked up properly, if it was just slid halfway under, see those lights are not going to be lit. And if your surgeon is using the shaver suction on here, his shaver will not have suction if these lights are not lit, because obviously this is not connected. Sales rep here today to talk to you about the new shaver box that we've swapped out. When you plug in the tower, the power should come on. If it does not, here's the blue power button you can press here to turn it on. Your foot pedal is already going to be plugged in, and upstairs inpatient you use a wired foot pedal, so it's already plugged into the only foot pedal port in the middle. As you see here, there's a little yellow icon. That's telling you that the foot pedal is set up for this left side. Both of these windows here are basically like your old shaver box, how there was one on the top and bottom. We have two different shaver boxes, left and right, if you had to operate two shaver hand pieces at the same time, or if you had issues with one side, you could switch to the other. So if you needed to switch the foot pedal to the other side, you're going to press this grayed foot pedal button. It's going to say move foot switch. I'll press the check mark, and within about 3 to 5 seconds, you'll see the yellow icon appear right there, and it'll say connect handpiece. You always want to connect the handpiece to the side that your foot pedal's connected to. With our previous shaver box, we had to attach a clip on the shaver cord coming out of the shaver box. We no longer have to do that with this upgraded box. That's done with wiring behind the machine that talks from the shaver box to the pump. And everything else will be done via the touchscreen. So when the shaver's plugged in, when the shaver handpiece is plugged in, it'll say connect blade. When you connect the blade, it'll tell you what your RPMs are. And on here, there will be two buttons, a plus and a minus, if you want to increase or decrease the RPMs. back to the pump. No matter what case it is, to replicate the previous pump you had in your facility, we always want to go to this 1, 2, 3 button. This is a preset button. You always want to press this. We have different options in here. There's knee, there's shoulder, there's hand, there's hip, and back to knee. We always want to start every case in shoulder mode. The reason we're doing that is it replicates your previous pump as close as possible. So we always scroll through till it gets to shoulder. Then we can adjust the pressure with the up and down arrows accordingly. Everything that I just said throughout this in-service is also found in our 24K quick setup guide. You can see pretty much the step-by-step how to put the cartridges on, how to go through your presets, what mode to be in, how the clip goes on to the shaver handpiece. Your waist is going to remain the same with your waist bags hooked up on the side of the pump and shaver, and your pressure settings. On the back of the guide, it does have some of the other, it does go through the details of what the shaver suction and outflow, the milliliters per minute, and some of our other button options on the pump. But what we went through is basically the basics of our 24K pump. Once you have all the tubing hooked up, you're going to want to prime your inflow line. So this end will be sterile. This will most likely be in a basin. You will unclamp this end here, just unclamp that, and this red-green button on the pump, it says run stop. You'll have the nurse come up here, press that button, and it'll start flowing. Once fluid comes out the end, the tech on this end can clamp it shut. That'll stop the fluid from flowing. When you're completed with all the cases and you're done with the tubing, these sets of tubing go on and off for every single case. To take the tubing off, you're going to put fingers on each side of the cartridge on the bottom. You're going to pull the cartridge down, pull it out, lift up, and the tubing comes off. Similarly with the outflow does have this little locking mechanism. The easiest way, you could unlock it and pull down with your hands and pull out. If I've seen some people have issues with that, if that causes an issue pulling down this way, I would grab all 3 pieces of tubing, pull down, out, and lift up, and the tubing will come off. And both sets of tubing will get thrown away. New sets will be opened up for your next scope case.